All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The State of the Nation conversation continues. My guests are with me, His Excellency Dr. Matthews Owili, the Deputy Governor for Kisumu, Honorable John Nyutu, Senator for Murang'a, Honorable Karoli Omondi, Member of Parliament for Suba South, and Javas Bigambo, political strategist. Now, during the week, there's a lot of political activity that has happened. Let's start off with the SG for Jubilee, Jeremiah Kioni, saying that now there seems to be a working deal between President William Ruto and his former deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. So the question is, will the opposition hold? But let's listen to what he had to say.
So when you are dealing about these things, wacha si tupebe hiyo munaita red wheelbarrow.
So you're saying Gachagua and Ruto are working together?
He said it himself. And I'll give you the date and I'll give you the hour.
When was it?
I'll give you the date and the hour. Immediately I leave this place. Born in Meandika.
Nyutu, is your party leader working with his former boss?
But you know, the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni has been very consistent in his fight and attack against Rigathi Gachagua. And so I think anything that Jeremiah Kioni says about Rigathi Gachagua, of course, any reasonable Kenyan would, of course, not take it to be for gospel truth. But we know people who have worked together and how they behave when they are working together. I mean, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is working with William Ruto as we speak. And from that working relationship, you can see how Raila Amolo Odinga behaves and talks about William Ruto and his government. Of course, he has been friendly since he started working together with him, and that is a fact. So for somebody to tell you that William Ruto or Rigathi Gachagua is working with William Ruto, I mean, that is a joke of the year. I mean, Trevor, if I'm working with you, then I'm not, attacking and criticizing you and your policies every day, every hour. And Rigathi Gachagua is, of course, is known that he keeps talking about the ills of this government, about the dealings, the evils, so to speak, in quotes, of William Ruto every day, every hour. How can you say that they are working together? But of course, Jeremiah Kioni has a mission. And the mission is to bring down Rigathi Gachagua. And Jeremiah Kioni knows that the support base of Rigathi Gachagua is one that has completely divorced itself or set apart itself from William Ruto. And so Jeremiah Kioni knows, because he's a smart politician, he knows that if you could or you can't succeed, or if you succeed in painting Rigathi Gachagua as somebody who is working with William Ruto, then of course you strip Rigathi Gachagua of the support that he has.
Is it impossible? Is it impossible for the two of them to work together?
No, I'm not saying, no, nothing is impossible in this country.
Okay.
Remember, I've just told you, I'm not saying it is happening, I'm just saying nothing is impossible. If William Ruto, if Raila Amolo Odinga is working with William Ruto, then I wouldn't rule out the possibility of people working together. What I'm saying is that at the moment they are not working together. Okay. And that should not mean that I am saying they will work together. Okay. I'm only saying that I wouldn't want to be quoted that, if it happens ever, in the unlikely event that it happens, and I would wish that you tell Javas to laugh in a learned way, because he's laughing and shaking in order for him to disrupt my line of thinking. But what I'm saying is, and let me not be misquoted by the way, Trevor. Okay. I'm not saying that Rigathi Gachagua will work with William Ruto. Okay. I'm just saying they are not working together. There is no sign that they are working together, and I've started by saying, if you want to see people, to know people working together, look at Raila Amolo Odinga since he started working together with William Ruto.
Okay.
I mean, he rarely criticizes William Ruto. Right. So Rigathi Gachagua is criticizing William Ruto every day. I know I'm repeating that.
Yes.
But of course, to say that I cannot rule anything out in the future.
Okay.
Because only God knows the future.
All right.
But I think it's very hard for Rigathi Gachagua to work with William Ruto even in the future.
Okay.
But well, being just a human being, a mortal human being, I cannot tell what will happen tomorrow.
Okay.
But as of today, they aren't working together.
Okay. Honorable Karoli, will the opposition hold? Because this is not the first tearing apart we've seen. There was also an allegation that Matiang'i has been brought in by someone to tear the opposition apart. Now there's Jeremiah Kioni accusing Rigathi Gachagua of working with his former boss. Will the opposition hold, in your view?
Trevor, let me start by making a general observation. I think Kenyans, if you look at most of the pollings that have been done, Kenyans are generally dissatisfied and very disappointed with the entire political class, especially the current political formations, whether they're in government or in opposition. There's a general disaffection against them. Kenyans are dissatisfied with the political parties. Kenyans are dissatisfied with the well-known political players. I think there's a general desire in this country at this particular point in time to drain, what they say in America, drain the swamp.
Yeah.
I think that we cannot run away from. I'm a politician, I'm in the political space. I feel it everywhere I go, I see it, you get it in discussions with people. The problem is, people are struggling, how do we midwife this transformation? A large majority are disappointed with the government, the administration. But the opposition is not inspiring either. So, and you can see it in the struggle the Gen Zs are having. They are struggling, who can we go with? And even them, they will have to take some very difficult political lessons. Because to midwife the change that we need in this country today, either one side will have to go with the Gen Zs to uproot the one political side, because I'm not sure the Gen Zs on their own can actually create that kind of change. So it's going to be a very interesting time. The opposition, my reading of it is the first thing that the opposition has to do is to understand each one of them, because they've been around for too long, and we tend to know them. We can understand many of them. That opposition has a lot of government agents, let me just tell you.
Within the opposition?
Within the opposition. I know some of them, when we were negotiating after post-2007 violence in Serena, I see some people, particularly in Jubilee, and I must say it here, I see them, but some of them who try to get involved in the Serena process, and I remember the late Kofi Annan calling me and warning me about two of them. Specifically, he told me, because Kofi had a lot of American intelligence around him. And he told me, I see these guys coming to your side, they're trying to meet your boss. Do you know who they work for? And Kofi would always complain to me that his room is bugged, they clean it, it's bugged. And occasionally we would laugh about it over a cup of tea and the rest. So the opposition, they get to know who is in their house. They should know that. And they need to look at even the newcomers. There are many agent provocateurs in the opposition. I will not mention them. It is up to the opposition to figure out who they are. That is their business. Now, on whether they will hold will depend on the message and how they organize themselves. We have been in opposition for too long. What today is lacking in all the political formations is the intellectual content of politics. Today, if you look at what Jaramogi left for us, those of us who have been on the left, look at the caliber of leaders that were in place when the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga died. Just go and look at the leaders in Ford Kenya. And look at the ones we have in ODM today, which is our main political party. There's a sea of difference. So if you look at the opposition, they are very good at pointing out the weaknesses of the government, and that is their job. But are they offering solutions? Are they showing us, if this does not work, we will offer this? They need to take the debate higher.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to take the debate higher. So my take is, things are still evolving. Kenyans are dissatisfied. We could still remain with the same people. Yeah. We could get everybody out. Yeah. We could hang around with one side if we are able to remove one leg. But 2032 is when the major change will come in Kenya. Those people you are seeing today, by 2032, I am telling you, none will be there. Everybody you are seeing in this political space, those people you are used to as serious politicians, some will go in the next 2 years, others will go immediately after 2027 election. Yeah. But by 2032, none of them will be.
And I hope you mean that by the ballot. So.
By the ballot. That's what I mean.
We'll elect new people.
Yes, because the Gen Zs will have organized themselves.
Let me hear what DG has to say about that. Are we ripe for that change that Karoli is talking about, or will we end up just being in more of the musical chairs?
Allow me to get back to what Senator Newt was saying earlier. You asked him a very, direct question regarding what is going on in Mount Kenya. In my view, it's almost accepted really that, either they're working together now or they'll work together in the future. But think about it this way. You see, the entry of Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, or his attempt to reorganize Jubilee, has basically unsettled DCP, the way I look at it. What the Secretary General of Jubilee is saying there is not really so much to do with them working together, but so much that, who among the two parties, DCP or Jubilee, will have the backing of Mount Kenya. Initially, it was thought that the DCP would carry the day, but that is before Jubilee, attempted to rebrand. Now that they have attempted to rebrand, and now that they have a catch, okay, that has unsettled, the mountain. And so what you are seeing now, the acquisition between DCP and Jubilee, is what I would call a scramble for Mount Kenya 1. Between these two parties, because Jubilee was the party of choice for Mount Kenya for a long time, at least during Uhuru's reign. Now they were upstaged by URP, and of course the main person who made that possible was, of course, the former deputy president. Now he has left and formed another political party. So the two of them are trying to elbow each other and to see who among them will carry the mountain. So you will hear many accusations like what you've had now. Okay, and Jeremiah Kioni has said he has evidence, so we hope that he can be able to table that evidence to the benefit of my brother here and his team members. Yeah. But from us, from where we sit, we do not want to really get involved in what is happening in the opposition, but we are watching keenly. And for us, we are rebranding, and I hope we are talking about that soon.
Yeah, what Javas has to say. Javas, as a young leader yourself, are we going to see any changes now, or will this remain the same as it is? Because even as we speak, there's an ongoing voter registration, and IBC is targeting 6.3 million voters, young, 70%, but the turnout is dismal. In fact, people are saying they're not seeing the same enthusiasm that the Gen Z revolution perceived was going to bring. So is this going to change, or is this just going to remain the same musical chairs that we've seen over time? Karoli is saying that it only changes in 2032, not now.
Honorable Karoli is trying to be a prophet in our times. And it's nearly possible that the change that is yearned for, and this change can be seen through various lenses, political, administrative, etc., and even at the political party level. And it may not happen just immediately, because question would be, what are the fundamentals of change that are yearned for? Honorable Newt is a cold-footed proselyte. He is struggling to appreciate the fact that there is little that DCP and even his side of the political party can bring on the table in the name of change. Secondly, the united opposition, so-called, is inward-looking and opposing itself. And when an enemy is making bad decisions, it is always good manners not to interfere or interrupt. The other thing I would say is that when you look at the sentiments of Honorable Kioni, it is informed by Mount Kenya squabbles. And that must be appreciated by the fact that Jeremiah Kioni and the entire Jubilee Party do not see eye to eye. In fact, there is absolute darkness between them, between Jubilee and DCP. And that is why they cannot even share, not just a tent, even a room in the same house, they can't share. And the other thing is that Honorable Nyutu fully appreciates that you cannot sell the sun to buy a candle. In the circumstances of the politics in which we are, you cannot even imagine, in fact, any reasonable and objective person would shudder at the imagination that, for instance, that the administration under President William Ruto can be changed to be replaced with the guidance of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. If Honorable Nyutu believes in change and the rule of law, integrity and good governance, he knows that his boss was impeached for violation of the Constitution and wants to use the same constitutional avenues to try and get into political power. He knows that that cannot happen under the auspices of the law. But I would say that the issues of the opposition is because opposition in itself has not characterized a leadership of ideas and direction. And they have pigeonholed themselves in such a manner that they are not outward looking to offer even any potential alternatives in terms of leadership views. Because when they speak, none of them, even Rigathi Gachagua, even Kalonzo Musyoka, none of them will you hear speaking about proposals on matters of policy, guidance or guidelines or change and reform that they believe in.
They have attempted to talk about it. In fact, they've said that they'll scrap the housing levy when they come in. SHA will be rebranded as well. They've talked about this.
When you talk about scrapping, it's not offering an alternative. And that's what even Kalonzo Musyoka said on JK Live and even Rigathi Gachagua. It's not offering alternative leadership. And that's why President William Ruto always said that they are rudderless and idealess. Lack of ideation is the Achilles heel of the opposition. And the other thing I would say, Trevor, is this, that when you look at the manner in which opposition is playing its politics, they have no direction. Now look at it this way. Honorable retired President Uhuru Kenyatta has lamented that President William Ruto has come up with untested ideas and tried ideas because of changing from Linda Mama to Linda Jamii. Yet President Uhuru Kenyatta himself came up with an untested idea of going for Eurobond, which had not been done here in Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta himself engineered the change of currency in Kenya. Change of currency. So he must be the last person to fear change, especially change for the better. Because when you look at the issue of healthcare reform that is being spearheaded by President William Ruto, it is to make it more inclusive under Linda Jamii and bring in everybody else. Okay. Whenever there is change, there will be a bit of hiccups.
Yeah.
But we can see that the kind of challenges that have been there, and in fact, look at it this way, Trevor. In 2022, you realize that unemployment rate in Kenya was about 5.73 when Uhuru Kenyatta was leaving office. Today, unemployment rate in Kenya is at 5.12. We are seeing the gradual reduction of unemployment. There are challenges, yes. World Bank, other critical, the Carnegie Institute and other institutions have indicated, for example, that when you look at Africa, in the next 20 to 25 years, most countries will be ungovernable because of the youth bulge and the challenges of unemployment. And that's what leaders should be looking at, not being idealists. And I would close by saying this, that you cannot lead Kenya in 2025 with the ideas of 2013 and the same tools and ideas of 2007, or even the ideas. For example, look at Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. He's been in power from 1985 April, 50 years in politics. And even when he was vice president, he was not vice president by strategy, but by tragedy, because of the post-election violence. So we must appreciate that when times are changing and new leaders are coming to the stage, old leaders with the old ideas or lack of new ideas should actually give room to the new leadership as we move Kenya to the second half of the 21st century.
Okay, before I bring in Nyutu, because he has to respond.
Trevor, just something on Mount Kenya politics. Yes. You see, if you look at the history of Kenya, political parties that have survived longest are those that have never gained power. And my party is one of them. All the political parties that have won power have not survived post their administration. That is the history.
Okay.
So Jubilee has no future. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And my understanding of Mount Kenya politics, actually the presidency of the next president of Kenya will be determined from Mount Kenya.
Okay.
Why? Because as we speak today, there's a direction they have taken. You know, President Uhuru was president in 2022, and he was the leader from that region, and he did not deliver for Raila. He did his best, and Uhuru did everything he could to help Raila win, but it just didn't work. Now he's not the president. How we can even contemplate that he could deliver at this particular point, I mean, is dreamland. And to make matters worse, to make matters worse, if Milima wants to regain, you know, because the next election is being framed as against Milima or for Milima at the national level. If they turn around and cede number 1 and 2, what do you think will happen in this country? Because it's a possibility. People think Mount Kenya will not allow somebody else to run for president. Suppose they allowed other communities to run for president and the deputy president and they supported them, what do you think will happen?
All right.
Yeah? So for me, I would even advise my friend Matiang'i, he should form his party very quickly, or he should revive the party he has in Kisii, focus there, and go to the table to negotiate. Because very tectonic changes are going to come to this country very soon.
There's something you know that you're not telling us. Come back to that.
I like to warn.
You too. There's a reaction from you now.
Thank you, Trevor. And I thank God every day for giving me sobriety and patience, that I can be able to wait here, listen to people disparaging others, people who are consumed in what they believe and think that their view is universal. I thank God for giving me the patience to listen to somebody like Javas, you know, taking us through something that is. But anyway, Karoli Omondi, who is my very good friend and a very reasonable debater, has said that Kenyans are somehow very disappointed with both government and the opposition. Well, I do not want to dwell on that, but I've said that the opposition is also not offering any solutions, and I think Javas also has talked about that. But every time that, especially Rigathi Gachagua, whom I support, talks, he talks of what he will do if he is elected president, or what we will do if we are able to unseat William Ruto. And I'm glad you have reminded Javas that he has talked about scrapping of affordable housing. Because these affordable housing, there are so many questions that have been raised about these houses that have been put up. And I think if Javas gets another opportunity, I think it's important for him to explain to us. I mean, first of all, William Ruto marketed affordable housing as, you know, as a housing that was going to come from a housing fund, not a levy. And everybody remembers, including Javas, the president saying, because he was the chief marketer of this particular program and project, that after some time you could still be able to recap your money with some interest. And the president is on record as having said that. But what came, Trevor? It is a housing levy. A levy is a tax. A tax is not refundable. And so when you put up housing and you go to Mukuru opening, houses that were built by Uhuru Kenyatta without a housing levy, because that must be underlined, that Uhuru Kenyatta started this housing, affordable housing, without a housing levy. I mean, it's a housing levy, which is a tax. It is put up on government land, it is sold, I mean, and you continue levying this or collecting this housing levy. Because one of the ideas, and Karoli should listen to this, that if I were asked personally, what I would say is, fine, it would have been a good way to have a housing levy to build some fund. So that now once you make it a revolving fund, so that now once you sell these houses, the proceeds, now you stop taxing Kenyans. The proceeds are then spent on putting up now the next phase of these affordable houses. Once you sell them, again, what you collect is what you use. But you cannot continue, collecting these housing levies. So we have ideas, but we don't have an opportunity to put them into action. We have talked about, Rigathi Gachagua has talked about restoring the dignity of the payslip. If that is not an idea, then I don't know what it is, because every payslip has been raided, and I know you have one, Trevor, has been raided so miserably, so badly by this government. And we have said that we are going to restore the dignity of the payslip. We have also said that we are going to stop, abductions and killings, which is the only legacy that this government has so far. And these are ideas. So when you say, and Karoli, when you say that the opposition is not offering any ideas, what ideas then are there? We have offered a few, but we have said we cannot be able to implement these ideas when William Ruto is in office. And that is why then we say that our first agenda is to remove him so that we can implement these progressive ideas. And so I think let us not next time say that the opposition has no ideas. DG, I did not say that Rigathi Gachagua will work with William Ruto. It is important that that becomes clear. I only said, and allow me to repeat it, that being human beings and having seen what has happened in the past, where, rivals have worked together, then you wouldn't want to rule out whatever happens in the future, because only God knows, and I said that. So I did not indicate that Rigathi Gachagua will work with. It's important that we bring light to this. But Javas is so consumed in the belief in William Ruto, and your question to him was very simple: will the opposition hold? Then Javas, because of being consumed, to cast through a long story about even Jubilee, that Jubilee has unsettled the mountain. He even went ahead to tell us that Jubilee has been the Mount Kenya party since 2013. Javas, I just want to remind you a historical fact. In 2013, yes, there was a Jubilee formation, but it was formed by TNA and URP. Jubilee as a party, I think, first, presented candidates for election in 2017. So it has not been just a Mount Kenya's party. It is a party that was, of course, formed by Uhuru and Ruto together in order for them. And that is what Karoli is saying, that no particular party, produces the president and the president defends their seat on the same party. Okay. And that is why we don't expect UDA to be the party that Ruto will come with in 2027. Yeah. Javas even went ahead to even mention my name and DCP. I had not mentioned the DCP before Javas started saying that I'm here to defend the DCP and is talking about, the weaknesses of DCP. He says that Rigathi Gachagua cannot replace, I forget the example he gave of you cannot sell a boy to buy a what?
You cannot sell the son to buy a car.
Yes. So, let me tell you, Javas, because you may have closed your eyes to the other side of things. William Ruto, today, the support that he has, and the support that Rigathi Gachagua has is uncomparable. And so you cannot now call William Ruto the boy and Rigathi Gachagua did you say the candle?
The candle.
Whatever, the sandals. Okay, fine. So,
sun and candle.
Javas even talked about Linda Mama.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask Javas, probably when he comes out of here, to call Bika Level 5 Hospital, or to talk to the newsmen here, those who collect news. There are ladies, mothers in Thika Level 5 Hospital reported who have been detained there because Linda Mama is not there. So when you say that now we are to, and I have seen even the Deputy President talking about Linda Mama and Linda Jamii, do you know the sufferings Kenyans are going through? Okay. That no Kenyan today can be able to use SHA he is an outpatient, and there are so many. I mean, if you are talking about Linda Mama was replaced by a Linda, somebody said Linda Mama was replaced by a Linda Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Huyo ndiye peke yake wanalinda. Okay. And so let Javas not tell us about that. Linda Mama, it was done away with. Tunalinda Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Okay. He said that Kalonzo Musyoka did not. No, I'm just responding to the issue. And remember, there are three against me. He said that Java said that Kalonzo Musyoka did not become vice president through strategy, but tragedy. Yeah. You know, Javas, you did not become vice president before the new constitution came into force by any strategy. You just got appointed by the president. Okay. I mean, it was not through any strategy. All right. So even as you are disparaging opposition leaders, please don't paint Kalonzo Musyoka in that manner. Okay. That through strategy, who became vice president? All right. And give us one example of somebody who became vice president via strategy, not through appointment at the whim. All right. At the whim. So let's bring up something else here. And DJ, I'd like you to start us off on this. I'll give you a chance to respond as we wind up on this conversation because we're running out of time. But let's hear what the DCP leader had to say about ODM having two camps. And you said that you're changing strategy by marking ODM at 20. You can react to this as well. Let's listen to what DCP leader had to say in regards to how ODM has two camps, one supporting the government, the other one not supporting the government.
Huyu mzee ni mjaja sana. Pale kwa Ruto ametengeneza grupu mbili. Two groups. Ni mzee mjaja. Ni mzee lakini ni mjaja. Grupu moja ni ya kutoa pesa kwa Ruto. Ile akina Junet kumusifu broad based nini ndio pesa itoke na viti na ile mambo wamehiadana na Ruto. La kwa sababu anajua Ruto pia ni conman, hawezi timiza ile mmekubaliana, ameuda grupu nyingine akina Sifuna ya kupiga kelele. Ndio ile maneno wamekubaliana na Ruto wafanye nini? Sasa hii umeona akisema ati hawajaamua kama ODM itasimamisha mtu, ni cheki yake ilikuwa imechelewa.
We hear the ODM team reaction first of all before we talk about this. Yes.
Thank you very much. I think one thing that we must say immediately before I react to what the former deputy president has said is to note that the Honorable John Nyutu has tried very much to trivialize a very important debate. And, you know, if you are to count verbatim, he has mentioned His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga too many times in his responses. Now, we are talking about Linda Mama, okay, which was a very noble idea, by the way, then. But that has given way now to Linda Jamii, which really is what he was meant to respond to. But as confused as the opposition is, he's decided to trivialize that and bring about the issue of Linda Baba. I don't know how that, you know, helps their situation in the scramble for Mount Kenya or the fight between Jubilee and DCP. And so I think that Joe Nyutu there, Mheshimiwa, owes us an apology. Raila Amolo Odinga is not just any other person. He's our party leader and, you know, a major stakeholder in this country. That said, the former deputy president is indicating, again, if you look at the tone of the language that he's using, I think he's making a joke. Okay? Because, you know, parties have organs. What I say here as a member of the party cannot be taken to be the position of the party. When the party needs to make their position clear, then either the Central Committee would meet, normally the Central Committee, and out of that they'll then issue a statement that is taken to be the party position. And so I take what you know, Rigathi Gachagua is saying there as just one of those other theatrics, you know, that they keep doing and hopefully to get people along their line. And as that happens, Trevor, you know that we're having ODM at 20, which we're celebrating in Mombasa between the 9th and the 13th. We are getting ourselves ready, by the way, for the next election, okay? We are the only party that is involved in doing elections as we speak. We have gone all the way to the county level, and very soon after Mombasa, we will be able to know when our National Delegates Conference is so that we get you know, new leaders at that level. So we do not want to be distracted, okay, by the opposition, by the way.
When you say getting ready for elections, does that mean you're going to field your own candidate or really support the president?
I mean, the party leader has been very, very clear that as to whether we're going to field a candidate in 2027 or not is a matter that the party is yet to take a stand on. And so for now, we are getting ready just as if we are going to have that candidate. And by the way, if you look at the history that the Honorable Karoli Omondi was talking about in the past, since 2007, the ODM party has been the majority or the dominant party, either individually as a party or in any coalition that they have joined. And the ODM party has always produced the presidential candidate. Now that history is still sticking there. We have to see whether that history will be changed in the next election or not. But as it stands now, we are getting ourselves ready to win all seats, not just for the presidency. We want to win the presidency. We want to win seats for all the governors. We retain all that we have, but win the ones that are that's the goal that we have.
So you don't see a split in this team? Because just the other day we saw Babu Owino, a member of ODM, endorsing Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka as the next president.
But that is Babu Owino as an individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sifuna also on the other side said that if you decide that you're going to go with the president, he will not.
We have not decided. That's what I'm telling you. Yeah. And that's what the party leader said.
So you don't
so
see
Sifuna is still right.
Split here.
There's no split there because he has said if we decide. We have not decided. Okay. So we can only cross that bridge when we get there. And we have said we'll talk about that, towards, the end, because as it is now, we have an arrangement with Kenya Kwanza and the UDA in particular on that 10-point agenda that we have to work on between now and 2027. As to what will happen then, the party will then have to make a decision.
Okay.
And for now, that decision has not been made.
Okay, let me hear what Honorable Karoli has to say about this, because this was a direct attack towards ODM, of having two camps.
First, let me thank His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga for the invite, personal invite to the ODM celebrations. Your intellectual energy and pioneering vision as a founder of ODM provided the scaffolding on which the movement was built. I thank him very much for that. Anyway, let me explain this. ODM today is not what it was 20 years ago. When we formed ODM and we first went to elections, in 2007, in a parliament of 2010 members, ODM won 96 seats on its own. Then we had another 9 affiliates. By 2013, in a parliament of 290, we were down to, I think, 87. We have gone down further. So we are not what the strength that we once were. And let's not pretend. The idea of broad-based has brought a lot of schism in the party. There are two different schools of thought about it. So let's not pretend. We cannot lie to people. Our supporters are not children. Yeah, let's just be honest with them. There's a group that does not support the idea of engaging with the president. You remember they held rallies against us as a whole. Then they split. And then there's a group that supports that. If you saw what happened in Kisii, the jamboree that ODM had in Kisii, there was not a single elected member of parliament on ODM in Kisii or in Nyamira that attended that function. That should tell you something. We have 3 by-elections in Kisii, ward by-elections. Nobody picked the ODM ticket. Nobody went to pick it. If you go to Kakamega, these are our strongholds. Nobody picked the ODM ticket in Malava. Let's not pretend. I don't like pretending. Yeah? If you go to a meeting, if you remember a meeting that our party leader held in Kakamega a few months ago, of the 12 MPs, only 3 attended, elected on ODM. So as we celebrate, let us do an introspection and say we are no longer what we were once. There's a problem somewhere that we need to deal with. And I would like to advise all the politicians and everybody trying to do a formation. If you want to know who to engage, I think, when you acquire business, there are 2 methods you are advised to use to do evaluation. One is the asset base, the balance sheet method. But the most accurate one that will give you a fair value is the discounted cash flow. See what is coming in the future. Yeah.
And what is coming in the future for?
Then you will know that if I invest here, my dividends will be like this.
What is coming in the future for ODM?
My reading of the situation, ODM will still be there. But in Nyanza, in Western, in our strongholds, there are going to be other political parties that are going to contest. Because even with the current by-elections, you've seen the issue of zoning between ODM and UDA. And in these upcoming by-elections, I expect ODM to win Kasipul and to win Ugunja. And I think we will do well in Magarini. I was in Magarini. If UDA does not up their campaign, if UDA ups their campaign, it will be a very tight contest.
Okay.
But other than those, and those do not show you the popularity of ODM, because those are traditional areas. We should have demonstrated that we are growing in other areas. So we will win them and we will celebrate, but they don't mean much.
Okay.
They don't mean much. And so for me, I'm seeing a situation where these celebrations, we should ask ourselves, do we have the leadership in the party today that believes in the core values of ODM? Can they inspire our members? Why are people running away from us? Why must we all depend on Baba if Baba is not there? Yes? Because ODM has become mercantilist in its leadership. Mercantilist. What Rigathi Gachagua was saying there. There are those who are in ODM for money, to extract things, not to engage on serious ideological debates and pursuit of development and interest of and welfare of the people. They are there in ODM. Let's not pretend. They are there. And they've captured it. So you will end up with an ODM that does not reflect the aspirations of the people. And people are going to move, I can assure you. They're going to move. Yeah.
All right. Let me hear what Javas has to say. That's an interesting perspective. And you accused him of being a prophet now.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Are you seeing some sense of double speak from ODM?
Well, I would say that, even in life, there is midlife crisis that always comes. And what ODM is, in a way, grappling with is the issue of managing its present existence as it subsists in its MOU with UDA, as it also looks into the future in matters of post-Raila Odinga, a succession kind of politics. Young people here are ambitious. Remember that in the early 1990s, we had the young Turks who are readying themselves, getting into the forays, and they have been in the political space for now close to 20, 25 years, 30. These young brigade is positioning itself to shape the politics of Kenya into the next 15, 20 years and beyond. So the issue here could be looked at in twofold. One, the issue of the subsisting politics within ODM and its arrangements. And secondly, trying to peep into the future and how and where they'll position themselves. And that's why I would throw a wet blanket on the sentiments of Rigathi Gachagua, saying that for Honorable Raila Odinga, it was because a check had not matured or wired to his account. Rigathi Gachagua is a very interesting political comedian, and I think he can really sign up for a cast in Churchill Show. But if he would have lived, of course, in the pre-colonial times, he would be a paramount chief. Because he's, yes, well-spoken and quite loquacious, but he's not speaking to nationalistic issues. Does he have a problem when there is unity? For example, the pact between ODM and UDA. Did he want to see the collapse of a nation so that now he can dance on the graves of such collapse, on the boulders of such national collapse? It is important for us to appreciate that political leadership is about the value of a nation, the gains, the change, the progress. And all of us want to see a nation existing so that all the other interests can mature. The other thing, Trevor, is that when you look at issues of interest that Honorable Karoli is speaking to, politicians most of the time are self-centered. And individuals sometimes join political parties to pursue certain interests or to be preserved by certain interests. Not all political leaders are as objective all the time. Yeah. So they're interest-driven. And that is why you would see that there are others who are gatekeepers within political parties, keeping close quarters with the leadership for certain narrow interests, not the broader national interest. And as you give that example, you realize, for example, even in Wiper, I would mention that, for example, you find Wiper having nominated the sister-in-law to Kalonzo Musyoka 3 times, yet there are other active members within Wiper. It's keeping the space, preserving the fireside for certain members. The other thing is that DCP in itself, a new kid on the block, so-called, has failed terribly even to field a single candidate anywhere, and therefore it cannot even test the waters politically and say that it has got even some form of feet. In fact, DCP cannot say that it has got a clay feet. It has no feet like the amoeba, the pseudopodia. So it is just moving by chance and grace as of now, but does not have any strength of feet to be entrenched, to stand tall and say that we are here and we are ready for battle in 2027.
All right.
I would close by saying, Trevor, that of course we must respect our national leaders. Raila Odinga has been in the trenches for so long. He has fought, and we also appreciate that age is catching up with him. There are those who are hanging on the coattails of Raila Odinga for survival, as Honorable Karoli has said, that without Raila Odinga, they will not exist. The same way Honorable Nyutu is hanging on the coattails of Rigathi Gachagua, fighting for political survival for re-election in 2027. So politicians at times will hang on the coattails of others. There are some people who will hang on the coattails of Honorable William Ruto, the president, for re-election in 2027. So we know we have got such kind of politicians that without them standing on the shoulders of certain political powers, they cannot exist, even have a chance.
All right.
But I think we must have prospects of a very bright future. Our national leaders are creating the space for a country that is united. And I think we must give it to President William Ruto and Honorable Raila Odinga for a united, all-inclusive country that we are having today.
Okay, Nyutu.
Thank you, Trevor. And just to remind DG that there is no fight between Jubilee and DCP. Not at all. Jubilee and DCP are not fighting. And I don't know why he says that they are fighting. And then he says that I trivialized debate by bringing in Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. And I want to say it, and I've said it so many times, I have a lot of respect for Raila Amolo Odinga. But that does not prevent me from, making an observation that is clear to anybody and everybody that, all President Ruto and his government cares for these days is to know. I think the first call Ruto makes in the morning when he wakes up is to ask whether Baba is happy. Because, of course, if Baba is not happy, then Ruto ceases to be president. That is what I meant. That Ruto is ready to do away with anything, everything, but see to it that Baba is happy. For obvious reasons. That he hangs on Baba to continue being president. And that is a fact. Without Baba, Ruto can even be impeached in parliament any day, any time. That's what I meant. Maybe DG thought I was just bringing in Baba to I never disparage Baba, and I'll never do that. Because I know, and I have said it so many times, the freedoms that we have today, especially of speech, that we can come here and talk, were fought for by Baba. The only worry that I have is whether Baba will now, as he comes to the tail end of his political career, whether he will still go with that particular, legacy, or it will have been soiled by, by joining and engaging in with somebody who has been killing children, not even adults. That's the only worry I have. Otherwise, Raila Amolo Odinga has been a soldier and has fought for freedoms in this country. And that is, nobody can take that away from him. The only thing, if I were qualified to advise him, would be to tell him, please, you are soiling yourself. You are very illustrious and good career and a legacy. You are soiling yourself. Associating with somebody who does not value human rights, does not value democracy, and that kind of thing. Otherwise, that was I meant DG. So when you go back to Kisumu, tell people that is what Joe Nyuto meant. DG struggled so hard to say that what Rigathi Gachagua said on Sunday is not true. That there is no schism in ODM. It is there for everybody to see. The Secretary General himself, has been fighting government, while others like Junet have been supporting government. What is that? So Rigathi Gachagua just made an observation. It is not his creation that there are two camps in ODM, one fighting government, the other one supporting government. And he has a right as a citizen of this country to say what he thinks, what the reason is. Okay. The reason is, you know, if Ruto goes slow on, you know, maybe those things we agreed or some benefits, then there's somebody or another group that makes him uncomfortable so that he meets his part of the bargain. That is exactly what Rigathi Gachagua meant. Okay. And nobody, and I like Karole Omondi for being realistic.
Okay.
I mean, Sifuna himself, the Secretary General of ODM, has said that in the coming upcoming by-elections, that very few people have expressed interest in getting the ODM ticket to vie for those. And so, I mean, ODM is not what it was. And what has caused it this damage is its association with William Ruto. Not even the government, William Ruto himself, because his character is one that has annoyed Kenyans, and Javas knows that. Only he has to say what he's saying, because of course you have, of course, to protect your position, but you know, there is a truth and he knows it. And I can tell you, Trevor, that, you know, that Rigathi Gachagua, Java says that Rigathi Gachagua, you know, is opposed to the unity. He wanted, did he want the nation to collapse? You know, that he doesn't support the union between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. I mean, Javas, Kenya is bigger than Raila and Ruto. These are not the people. I mean, if those people are not working together, that does not mean that Kenya will collapse. You know, I've heard that. I've heard people arguing that Raila Odinga came to see to it that the country did not collapse. Yeah. I mean, Raila Amolo Odinga is a leader in this country, and I respect him. Ruto is a leader in this country, and I respect him. But they do not own Kenya. Okay. That if they differ, then the nation automatically collapses. And I want to remind Javas, you know, he has said that I'm hanging on Rigathi Gachagua for my political survival in 2027. Yeah. I had a life before 2022, Javas. I mean, being re-elected in 2027 is not a matter of life and death. And I can assure you, I was doing better, by the way, financially, than I am doing today. So you are not saying that I'm there. We are talking about issues. And just before I forget, I forgot to say one important idea that we have as the opposition, that of healing the economy. And we will heal this economy, Trevor, by, first of all, paying pending bills, so that this money can start circulating. Right. The economy is doing so badly, and stop, DG, Javas. Please don't get these nightmares about DCP. You know, when you keep talking about something and saying it is nothing, it's nothing, you know, it only tells you what your dreams at night are. So the nightmares are yet to come. Wait for 2020.
All right, gentlemen, we're really running out of time, but let me bring up the feedback really quick, and then I'll give you each that 30 seconds only for closing remarks, because we've really run out of time. Let's bring up the feedback really quick and see what people are saying, and then get reactions. I'll start with DG. Just 30 seconds for closing remarks. Engineer Lazaro says the word united opposition is being used only to win public support. The gentlemen and women already engaged in supremacy battles, sideshows, and backbiting behind the curtain. Okay, amongst themselves, I believe that's what we're saying. Sawe says Kenyans, especially the youth, are not happy with the current political class. They have decided to ignore them by mobilizing themselves to solve their own issues. This will or might translate to real change. If not in 2027, it will be in 2032 for sure. Okay? And you say there, we borrow, sell state resources, we don't come up with the initiatives to curb corruption or waste. Financial year comes, we sell state farms, we increase taxes, we borrow again. What's the end game? When will things start to play out without hitches we are experiencing? Okay? Sir Nixon says the political realignment we see every now and then with our leaders is all about what's in it for them. It's not about us. Unfortunately, it's like they put a spell on us that we keep recycling them. Iko shida, may God help us. Okay? And Kiberenge says that the failures of President Ruto are so massive that anybody can beat him in 2027. We only need one person who will confess that he is a soul willing to become a Paul. The 2027 election will change this country once and for all. Okay. Bob Otieno says, in Kenya politics, nothing is impossible. DCP leader Rigathi can work with the president, as Kioni claims, just like they are quoting Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, since the ODM leader can't help him win in 2027. All right, DG, closing remarks. Just 1 minute. We've really run out of time.
Well, as the mighty, indivisible ODM party, we are focused. We are rebranding ourselves. We are getting ready for 2027. Tell allow me to say this, that we do not take unsolicited advice, okay, from some village party confined to some corner of the country through their merchants. They have a lot of problems to deal with at their corner, and Kenyans are watching. And in conclusion, to just inform the young people of Kenya, almarufu the Gen Zs, that they got an opportunity now to take, their voters card, because the process is ongoing, and those of them who do not have IDs, they do the IDs, they get the voters card, and wait to have their voice in 2027.
Okay, Javas.
Well, I would say, Trevor, that Rigathi Gachagua did not imagine that Kenya can move forward and transformation be brought by President William Ruto without him. When you look at projects, Atlanta Stadium, when you look at road construction, when you look at the KIPES across counties, he wonders, why is it that the country is moving on without him? And he just needs to realize that the footnote he has been in politics is what he will just remain. The other thing is that for matters the youth and voter registration, it's important for IEBC to step up and scale up its civic education and engagement, and guide young people and many other people. How do you transfer votes for people who want to transfer votes?
Yeah.
And that this process is ongoing up to election time in areas where there's no by-election.
All right.
And we also know that a goat will also always eat by the stretch of its rope. It is important for President Uhuru Kenyatta, former president, to appreciate that he served for 2 terms, and he should give room for other people to lead the country, because his time came and lapsed, and other people have got the opportunity to lead Kenya.
Okay, Carol?
Well, I just want to appeal to the young people to really come out in large numbers and register as voters, and to start thinking about organizing themselves. Why do I say so? We have a young population that truly believes in the Constitution of Kenya. Actually, most of them turned into adults around this Constitution. And I've seen the determination that they have and the conviction. But unless they organize and unless they take voter card, we can't bring the change this country so desperately needs to give them opportunities.
All right,
so they should come out,
Thank you, Trevor. I take this opportunity to send my deepest condolences to the families that lost their loved ones. It's important that it be known that all those that lost their lives in Kikopey on Sunday come from Murang'a County, to be particular in a place called Mongaria near Gacharage in Kandara constituency of Murang'a County, and I want to send my deepest condolences to them, and we pray that God is going to grace the families and all those that are affected. Finally, to wish, like all my colleagues here, to tell the youth that they must register as voters, because their turnout has been underwhelming since Monday, and I think it's serious that if they want to change this country, they must register as voters. And finally, Java says that 3G did not think that the country would continue without him, that there are roads that are happening, I don't know where they're happening, that there are many things that are happening. Actually, it is the other way around. William Ruto and all those that impeached Rigathi Gachagua thought, and they were even actually saying it openly, that Rigathi Gachagua would be, history in 1 or 2 months. Today, Javas cannot finish a sentence without Rigathi Gachagua. I am actually very excited that he chooses the Rigathi Gachagua to be his closing remark. It tells you where the nightmare is.
Right. Thank you so much.
Javas, I can get you a good pastor who can pray for you if you are getting bad nightmares with Rigathi Gachagua at night. Of course, consult me. I know good ones.
Thank you, gentlemen. His Excellency Dr. Matthews Owili, the Deputy Governor for Kisumu, Honorable Joe Nyutu, Senator for Murang'a, Honorable Karoli Omondi, Member of Parliament Suba South, and Javas Migambo, political strategist. Thank you all for making time this morning, and thank you all for the feedback that you sent through. That's where we close the State of the Nation for now. Coming up next, it's Cooking Tips. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.